Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Toon review on a Friday night, beginning of the weekend. And myself and Stato are here again today to show you some more players we've been linked with and go through what they might give to our team if they were to sign. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing to us if you like what you see. It's free to do so, of course, by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up as well. That always helps us out by pushing up the search engine on YouTube to like-minded football fans. And also, you can donate to the channel by hitting that. Obviously, click donate, the dollar sign, and give us a super chat. That puts your comment right at the top of the chat. And also, you can join as a member, which is basically a paid subscription, by clicking the join button. That'll take you through to a payment route. We've got some comments here to go through first. Tom Lynch is always the first in the chat if he's not at St James's Park, and he wanted to be tonight, unfortunately. Evening, everyone. I was hoping not to be here tonight. I'd rather be at the Sam Fender gig, to be honest, but alas, I couldn't get tickets when they went on sale, and I'm not going to be ripped off, of course. Sam Fender homecoming to St James's Park in front of his adoring fellow Geordie brethren and sisterhood, of course. That'll be a great gig to go on. Lots of people are there. Tom then goes on to say, anyway, here is a close second. Happy Geordie Day. Everyone, it is. It's Bladen Days. It's Bladen Races Day, isn't it? 9th of June, 1862. So, yeah, lots of Bladen Races references on Twitter today. Chipper says, how will we afford all these players the 75 million transfer budget? Interesting comment in that starter, isn't it?
Well, as many of you already know, we were quoted as having like a 60-ish million £60 million transfer budget last summer by Luke Edwards and a number of other journalists. Not that I'm dropping Luke Edwards in it, obviously, but if that's what he was told, that's what he was told. But obviously, we went and spent double that, and then 40 in the January window as well. So it is what it is. I think they're being told, obviously, one thing, because we're trying to sort of temper expectations, keep everything on the down low. We're maybe not quite sure exactly what players we're going to sign yet. I think we talk about this a lot in transfer shows. I think we've got our targets. We'll try our best, and if certain clubs try and take the piss a little bit, we'll walk away. We'll pull the plug on a deal. And we've got other targets on the list. We've got, I think it's no secret that we've been doing a lot of scouting this season. With Dan Ashworth's been in for a little while now. Everything's fully in place. We've had scouts out watching different clubs around Europe. There'll be alternatives. So if people are going to try and take us for a ride, we'll just go elsewhere. If Madison doesn't work, we'll get someone else. We'll probably get someone else equally as good, if not better. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm always slightly disappointed when the press don't label what you've got to spend as a transfer war chest. I like when they can call it a war chest, and they haven't in this case. As the lads over on the Amigo said earlier, take it with a pinch of salt. Could even be Craig Hope. I said it deliberately to help the club re-throwing people off the scent. Yeah, have every chance.
Potentially.
Good evening to Clarkey. Hope you're well. He says, I'm normally 10 deep in the pub this time on a Friday, but I've sacrificed it for you guys. Clarkey, we are deeply, deeply grateful for that. And of course, and get 10 deep in the pub when we're finished. It's great news. Evening to Carlos, Jock Bar. Good evening to you. I'm not going to put what Clark has put next because it's a bit nasty to cause chippers and his desperate state of trying to chat up Sophia. Evening, Mason. How are you, mate? What else we got here? Kind of talking to each other there, so we'll try and skip past there. Oh, hang on. It's Stato. Evening, everyone. Who's on tonight then?
I know that was like a 1:45. I thought I'd try and be funny. But who's hosting tonight then? But then I was worried if Paul was watching, it might scare him. He's thinking, "Oh God, hang on a minute."
Oh dear. Neil Sam, evening to you. Paul Grant asks who has a new shirt. That's another thing. Been confirmed now that this is our new kit with the right sponsors. So the people that broke that earlier this week are correct. There is one slight downturn to it. White socks. I'm not a fan. They use that.
Are they not black and white socks?
No, they're white with a couple of black hoops around. What I saw in the Bruno picture. Mainly white.
I mean, the kit itself, I'm okay with. I think it looks quite good. I think there will have been a lot of people leaning on them to try and make it better this season because of the. It's not that it was bad. It's that it got into sort of the social media stratosphere as a bit of a joke. And when social media picks something up and starts making a joke out of it, that you need to sort it out. So I would imagine that they've really tried to push for the quality to be a bit better this season. Obviously, you mentioned to me before we started that it's a £5 more expensive. I think it's £70 this time round, which £5 increase, I guess, in these times. I would like to see a quality increase, though, if we're going to get a price rise. In all honesty, I think that's fair for me to expect. I think we should all expect that. But I like it. I think it's gorgeous, to be honest.
I do. I love it. I love
very,
the
very
top.
nice. Can't wait to get my hands on one. Well, I won't be able to get my hands on one tomorrow morning, but I'm definitely going to order one. So I'm sure there's a lot of you watching that will be straight at the club shop in the morning, though. I think it's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, by the way.
That's right. Tom Lynch says, who's up to the club shop for the shirt tomorrow? There'll be lots of people there. It'll be packed out, I imagine. And there'll be lots of people doing it online also. So yeah, but it's the white socks thing. I can remember when Rude Hullett was in charge, he changed our socks to white. And I think the first thing Sir Bobby Robson did when he came in virtually on our first kit release under his tutelage was go back to the black socks. Would you used to wear black socks? Simple as that. So yeah, we'll see. But the picture I saw with Bruno, it looked white.
The one with the Bruno one I'm looking at now, it doesn't look too bad. I'd have to wait and see, the full images before I guess I'll make a decision on it. But it's not too bad.
Roger says, thankfully I don't have a Fender ticket. One's back went before, damn it. So evening to you, Roger. I hope your back feels better though. Carl, evening to you. Mary, evening to you. She says, evening all, hope your Friday evening's going well. What a beautiful evening it is. Absolutely. It is a beautiful evening. Summer's evening. Can't beat it. Evening to Damon Proud. Hope you're okay. Predator, good evening to you too. Evening TTR Fam and Super Duper Mod Squad. Hope everyone's well. And who else? We've got S32. Good evening to you. George, hope you're well. Evening, lads and lasses. Happy Geordie Day indeed. Jason Scott, good evening to you. Craig Dope, spouting his usual nonsense, he says. Wes Fullerton, good evening to you. Good evening to Review Family News Strip Reveal. It's a lovely kit. And FanZone going to be created with the support of our new sponsor. Exciting times. I didn't know that. Were you aware of that?
No, I haven't had a chance to read anything that's dropped today. I will later on. But if there's any truth in that, I heard murmurings of a fan zone. I think Ben mentioned a few things. We'll have to wait and see. Sounds exciting.
Does sound exciting. Evening to Rachel. Modding there in the background. Hope you're well. They're not too deep in gin. Lawrence, good evening to you. Let's do our first player, shall we? Let's hide that. And let's bring our first player onto the page, onto the screen. And it's West Ham captain Declan Rice.
Right, so for the three of you who are typing, don't be stupid, this is silly, why are you reviewing him? We've been linked. That's how we do the shows. We're reviewing him. I agree with most of you. This is 99% not going to happen. However, we've been linked. We have money. We need a midfielder. So therefore, we're going to review him on a transfer show. It's fair. We've not really had the opportunity to do, a rating like this. Even though to be fair, we've never had a chance to look at Messi. Even though we've been linked to Messi, nobody will let me review him. So, which I guess is fair. So, for people who don't know, I don't know who doesn't know Declan Rice. Obviously, the West Ham captain has been around for donkey's years now. Friends with all the Chelsea sort of youth academy graduates was in there, and it's been kind of a big deal for West Ham for quite a long time now. Was their captain? I'm not sure at what age he became their captain, but it was quite a young age. I think he might have been possibly still been a teenager. Correct me if I'm wrong there. It might have been 2021. We'll see. But modest wages. He will, however, be expecting some reasonably better wages wherever he moves to next. So his contract with West Ham expires next summer, not this one. However, I do believe West Ham have got an additional year option they could trigger. I'm not sure if it's player or club, which could then inflate the fee somewhat because there's just added bits. Of course, he famously started playing for Ireland, and then when he figured out he was rather good, switched to us, to England, which is great because we've got a good midfielder. So hopefully once Southgate gets fired, fingers crossed soon, we will have a really good midfield consisting of Rice and Bellingham. This season, nearly 3,300 minutes. So he's played pretty much all of the minutes. 37 appearances out of 38 matches in the Premier League is pretty much all of them, bar one. 4 goals, 1 assist. Running a little bit hot with the goals there, but we know he's got some good quality. He's been shortchanged by his teammates there. Should have had 3 assists. He's only on 1, so people not finishing their dinner. 1 goal, 1 assist in the Conference League. 11 appearances, 700 minutes in the Conference League is good, and of course they won it. And he was integral in that deep run into the Conference League and the eventual trophy lift. So let's have a look at how he profiles statistically at the moment and scroll down. So defensive output is pretty high. We talked about this when we did the West Ham, or both West Ham previews. West Ham are less of a tackly team, more of an intercepting kind of team. They sit, they're very strict, they cut passing lanes, they're quite clever. You know, it's that kind of system, which goes to show why sort of Rice's interceptions are so high, because they generally play this way. That being said, his tackle statistic is still very high. It's above average, and the rest of it's also really good. But then when you factor in his defensive output, he's also carrying the ball 2.42 times per 90. So his progressive carries are very high, in the top 15%. Considering we technically, most people consider him a defensive midfielder. So his progressive passes are also through the roof. So this is somebody who could solidify a midfield and provide ball progression, offensive threat, which is incredible, especially for a team like us, with this kind of front three we're trying to build, where anybody from the front three is really dangerous if you get them the ball. Pass completion and passes attempted are really healthy as well. Shot volume is not too bad. They've started to colour it red on this graphic, but it's round about 1 per 90, which is, run of the mill, considering that most of these stats will have been taken from this season. And West Ham have had a poor season, so he can arguably produce a little bit better than this, I would imagine. Shot creating actions are also very high, but that's because he's doing a lot of ball progression. So who's he playing like? You've got Matic on here, Caicedo from Brighton, of course, we know is amazing. Højbjerg had a bit of a funny season, but we know he's a cracking player. Partey's on there. Funnily enough, Bentaleb's on there as well.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, we know what he's about. We know he's incredible. We can have a look at his career so far. He doesn't actually have Chelsea on the profile because he left obviously a bit too young. So consistency, this is what he's going to offer. 34 starts, 38, 32, 35, 36. I mean, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 seasons in a row where he's played pretty much every minute available as a midfielder for his club, or various other roles when needed. So he's always available. He's always fit. He's up there. Should be playing Champions League football, really. He's of the right age. He's 24. He fits the profile. He's arguably a couple of years younger than, well, it's not arguably, he is 2 years younger than most of our midfielders. They're generally about 26-ish. Just over 6 foot as well. Physically fits that. Fits what we're looking for. Everybody knows Declan Rice. He's more than good enough for our team. We would be absolutely honoured to have him in our team. If we could have a midfield consisting of Rice, Bruno and Joe Linton, I don't think anybody's going to get the ball off us, to be honest. Or if they do, we're going to win it back straight away anyway. So, that's quite steep. That's more than what our suspected budget is, according to journalists. So let's see if we can bump that down a little bit. Obviously, if he came, he would have the number 41, which is quite funny because then we'd have a rather makeshift midfield number-wise, because we'd have 39 for Bruno and 41 for Rice. So it would be quite comical, really, a funny midfield. So recent games, you can see here, most of his performances are sort of over 7s. He's dropping some crazy ones. He got given, let's have a look at the final. Why not? Although it was a scrappy old final. Fiorentina were playing hardball. So we'll go down and have a look at Mr. Rice. Dropped a 7. All over the pitch. Left-sided focus here in this game specifically. 82% pass accuracy. Completed 4 of his long balls. We know his ball progression is really good. He tried a couple of crosses as well. Didn't manage to find the target. He won pretty much all of his duels. Lost a couple of the ground duels. Completed a dribble. He had a shot blocked, a shot off target. Contributed with a couple of clearances and three tackles as well. and that was in a final that he ultimately ended up winning. So let's go and have a look at another good game, shall we? How did he do against Bournemouth? He got a goal, 4-0. So West Ham pumped him here. Got Rice in the middle, dropped to 7.6. Crazy heat map. 88% pass accuracy, nice and tidy. Couple of long balls, got a key pass. Nice and physical, 5 out of 9 ground duels, and we know Bournemouth are trying to play a bit more aggressive. All right, let's for the sake of argument have a look at him against a Liverpool, who we've obviously lost to twice this season. Let's have a look at a harder game. He dropped to 7.4, which was the highest rating in his team, and he was up against the midfielder Fabinho as well. Crazy heat map there. That is pretty bonkers. 85% pass accuracy. Again, the statistics don't drop regardless of who this guy plays, which is how you know he's quality. 2 key passes. He's getting the long balls out. He's completed 3 dribbles is crazy for a DM. Physically doing very well with the duels there. High volume of interceptions as well. He's putting in these performances. It doesn't matter who he plays against. He's capable of doing it against the dregs of Europe. He can do it against sort of your Liverpools, Man Uniteds in the Premier League. He can do it against lower opposition as well. He can play sort of anywhere in midfield. He's quite comfortable. He's even played bits and bobs in centre back, and I don't think he's done that for a while now. But I think he can. He's quite flexible. He would offer that rotation that we like to have, where Longstaff sort of swaps with Bruno depending on where people are on the pitch and whether we've done a set piece or. So he'd be more than capable. It would be an easy transition into our side. I just don't think we would get him. I don't think there's too much. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. No, not much point in talking about this too much because it's probably not going to happen. But he would be perfect.
I have to say, if I had the choice of any player we could get, he'd be my top of my list because I think he's the best 6 in Europe. But for me, he's the best 6 in Europe. And he's flexible with it. He can play a double pivot. He can play in a 3. Great leadership qualities. I think he's a terrific player. He really is. And I never saw that happening when he made his full debut against us. So he was dreadful that day. But, he's really come of age the past couple of years. As I say, being captain of West Ham at an early age. I think he's got everything. I really do. And
I think we could probably end up playing a double pivot if we signed him. Him and Bruno as a double pivot would be outrageous. It really would.
We've got a €10 super chat from Richard P. He says, young family, little time for live shows, but watch Aberdeen and catch up. Thanks, Billy and Alex, for doing so well without Paul. Miss him when he's not around, but the Toon review wouldn't be the same without you guys. Thanks, Richard. Very much appreciate that. It's really kind of you to say that and to send in such a generous donation. Really pleased with that. Thank you. Let's see some opinions on Declan Rice. Mark Robson thinks he's overrated. Stu says a joke in. This was quite funny, actually. My friend who is a drummer just recently had 10 daughters. They are called Anna 1, Anna 2, Anna 1, 2, 3. Quite funny, that. I do appreciate that. Ian Brownlee says, more chance of getting the 6 numbers up than signing Declan Rice. Celeb are doing like shows with fire and flying camels, class as Jason. Lawrence thinks he'll go to Arsenal. Yeah, it's very unlikely he'll come to us. But you never know. You never know. Football's a funny old game. Can't afford his wages. Not sure about that. He's who I want to sign the most. Exactly the type of player we need to score with. I agree with you. Don't be stupid. Don't be silly. Why are you reviewing him? Because we're linked. We've been linked with him, Clarkey. We're not saying he's coming to us by any shadow of the imagination. It's very unlikely. But
you're the reason I have to say that before we start reviewing players. I said it right at the beginning. We were reviewing him because we linked. I literally said I know we're probably not going to get him.
Absolutely. Jocks of thought after Tim Rice. Even to Ian, Paul Grant says more executive boxes coming, £9,000 a season from the same show earlier. Corporate. I guess they've got to have them, but my flavour of the month. Let's be honest. Craig says if I could handpick one player for a sign, it would be Declan Rice, and likely, of course, I guess, but not impossible. And with the new ownership, we are allowed to believe, dream, hope, pray. Well said, Craig. Appreciate that comment. That's a really good one. Predator says, love him to come to us, but he'll stay in London. Shame, it is a shame. Carlos says, how much is Madison worth now? Less relegated. Well, basically, he's worth whatever someone will pay for him. I mean, it's hard to put a price on someone's head. If Spurs want to pay 50 million for him, then he's worth 50 million if we're not going to, I guess. And that's why Leicester are playing ball. They've got a little bit of a bidding war, they suspect, with Spurs. So obviously they're going to play on that, aren't they? Jason says, I think we might surprise the doubters this window, most important window in years. Ian says, we can afford anything we want. The point would be, can they grow the commercial to match it? Well, I think we can. And of course, success on the pitch only helps that, doesn't it? Mighty wins at every chance we can and would put £60 million up front.
You've got to remember we did have to pay for Gordon up front, though. So,
yeah. I mean, I guess if we're going to sell players, there's possibly one going out the door that we really don't want to. Geordie Boy says, if only we can but dream. Absolutely. Paul Sprague thinks Rice will go to Man City. Be an amazing signing for them, wouldn't it? Him and Rodri. Gosh, that would improve the side, wouldn't it, as well? Tom says, if we do sign Declan Rice, the Toon review should do Ant and Deck t-shirts and mugs, Gordon and Rice. And will Trips and Wilson be in his ear next week? Very likely, but I don't think they'll be the only ones. There are Arsenal players and Chelsea players and all sorts of players of England, aren't there? So, Ian says, because I got ripped up the other night because I said we need to smash our wages structure. I think we will smash it. Obviously, the Bruno contract talks kind of dictate that, don't they? So, yeah, we're not going to stick to the...
I think the general consensus... I mean, we've got no confirmation of this. It's all guesswork, but most of the guesswork is that we'll probably raise it up to about 200. I've got no sources for that. I'm just guessing as well, but it seems quite logical. And then if we have raised the bar to 200 for marquee signings, then if we offer them 200 plus bonuses, we might be able to do it. It just depends if Man United come in and try and offer them 400 grand a week. We're not going to be able to match that yet. We'll see.
I mean, David Sullivan said the other night, said if a Champions League club came in for him, then we owe it to him to allow him to talk to him. And as we're a Champions League club, then I guess we are got to be in that conversation, surely. But there you go. One man in his Twitterdale says, "Evening lads, new shirts, Bill. War Father's Day, Prezi. Don't you think? Good idea. Yeah, it's Father's Day Sunday. So yeah, William, if you're watching." DK35 says, yeah, Rice for 75 million. I think he might cost a tad more than that. Les says, evening, Billy and Stato, even to you. Andrew Wishes. Niall says, May of last year, he became West Ham captain, of course, when Mark Noble retired. But he would have captained them before that.
But he's captained the side before that, yeah, when Mark Noble, because Mark Noble wasn't playing all the time.
He was a sub for a season, wasn't he? He used to come on with the last 5 minutes just for a token gesture, I guess, at the last season he was there.
I think Rice had worn the armband at periods of time when he was sort of 19 or 20. He'd been given it before.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I agree. Nick says, can you imagine Rice, Bruno and Big Joe in the middle for us? Yes, it's mouth-watering to say the least, isn't it? Absolutely, 100%. Ian says, you talk about a fund which is basically just bought golf and is paying players upwards of 250 million a season.
Exactly.
This is true. I would say welcome Rice, says Roger. I heard elsewhere we're looking for wages of 300k per week. I hope I'm wrong. Yeah. Champions League player wants Champions League wages, not average ones, says Ian. Yeah, you're right. Declan Rice, please sign for us immediately, says Stu. And Predator says West Ham reportedly offered him 200k a week to stay. He said no, he's leaving. We're not going to pay above that, so it's a no-go, I'm afraid.
It does depend, though. It does depend.
Yeah.
Depends on what... I've said this before on other shows. Maybe I don't think I've really said it this window, but I mean, it's time. I'm going to say it again. Not every player is interested in the most amount of money they can get. They might be interested in the legacy and what they can bring to a club, whether they can write their name in the stars. It completely depends. Like when we were talking about Haaland and different things like that, you've got to remember that we're in that initial period in our project where if somebody commits to us, they will be a club legend straight away. Like look at what Bruno's already done. If he stays another 5 to 10 years, he's going to be a club legend. He practically already is at this point. So whoever our sort of big marquee signings are, everybody's been to Manchester City. A lot of these big players have already been there, done that. They've had the Yaya Toures, the companies, the David Silvas. They've now got the Bernardo Silvas, the Gundovans, the De Bruynes. So if there's another world-class midfielder goes there, it's one of many who've already been there. Whereas we are still that fresh project, So we could be someone's clean slate. where somebody could go, right, I want to go to this club, because I can suddenly be Mr. Black and White. You never know. It might appeal to somebody to actually, write their name. It might happen. Not everybody's just going to look at the wage packet, especially if they're all quite similar offers.
Indeed. Simon says it'd be awesome to have Royce. Not going to happen. Yeah, it is very, very tenuous, I guess. Royce is class, but I'll show you. Yeah, this is kind of how we're thinking, but he's a fantastic player. He really is. Good evening to Julie J. Hope you're well. Overthinking Underthinker. Good evening to you. What else we got here? Daniel Robbins says, I heard Graham Bailey on another channel yesterday talking nonsense, especially about Maxi. Stato, please shame that man. Well,
yeah, I do see his articles come up a lot, but I think it's because he's forced to write articles every day, and he just writes nonsense a lot of the time. He just writes whatever, and I think he's on. Is it Dean Jones and Graham Bailey? Whenever it's that One Football app you use. If you ever open the One Football app, it's those two who do all the articles about us, and they are nonsense 9 times out of 10. It's ridiculous. And 9 times out of 10, it will be recycled stuff from 3 days ago as well. It's ridiculous.
He's a Middlesbrough support as well with a bit of an agenda against us. So,
well.
Julie says, can't see what's coming to Arsenal or he's staying at West Ham. I think he'll leave West Ham. The mighty win says, probably go to City with Phillips going the other way. That's a shout. And Ian says he'd be the perfect signing. Let's not be under any doubt. 100% agree. 100% agree. Right, so what next then? Let's get the next one up. The next player on the list is Nicolo Barella from Inter Milan, who we'll see tomorrow night.
Nicolo Barella, yeah. So we got linked to him yesterday by some Milan papers. So it's come from Italy. This has, not from us. Which I don't really know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If it comes from the source country, I can never tell. So therefore, we get to talk about him. He's been linked. For those of you who don't know who this kid is, he's playing tomorrow in the Champions League final for Inter. Obviously, I'm doing a watch along for that tomorrow with Jack. So we'll be watching it. So if you do want to see Barella, watch the Champions League final because he'll probably be playing in it. So midfielder for Inter, obviously had a cracking season. They didn't win Serie A last year or this year because Napoli won it. They did win it the year before though. Barella's been a very important player for Inter. He is on quite a lot of money, I will say that, but contract as well. He's on quite a long one of them. However, he is a ready-made, he's not a project player. We wouldn't have to build him up. He's there. 6 goals, 6 assists, Champions League experience, helped his team get to the Champions League final. 26 years old. I've probably already said that. Yeah, he's already there. He is quite slight, as you can see there. It says 5'7.5". I think he's, I don't know. When I've seen him, he looks a little bit bigger than that. I think that might be a bit harsh. So let's scroll down and see what he gives us besides 3 Champions League goals. So that's a lot of green in lots of nice areas. So ball progression via passing or carrying. He's good at both. He's in the top sort of 20% in Europe for both of those things, which is crazy, crazy important for us because it's something Sean Longstaff is not very good at, is progressing the ball. He's very, very tidy and has a lot of good attributes, Sean does, but quality ball progression is not one of his stronger points. Or maybe he might be able to improve on that. The fact that Luka Modric is on his stat list kind of proves that. If you're on any list with Modric, it means you're decent. So shot creating actions as well. So he's providing, he's creating opportunities for teammates. His assists is nice and high as well per 90. Shot volume is really, really good. It's just everything output wise here is so healthy. His successful take-ons is really high. So when he's attempting to dribble past players, he's doing very well in that regard. He's getting a high amount of touches in the attack and penalty area for a midfielder. He's receiving the ball quite high up as well. Could do with maybe the defensive output increasing a little bit, but it is what it is. It's still, it's not terrible. It's nearly 2 tackles per 90, but we could do with that going up if we were going to use him in our system. And then who does he profile like? Well, you've got Odegaard there for Arsenal. Is obviously the standout one that you guys will have seen a lot of this season. Bernardo Silva of Man City. Kamada, who we've been linked with again. Kamada seems to be on any midfielder we look at. Kamada's always on the list every single time. Modric and Eze as well for Palace. So you can see that Barella is no slouch, and there's a reason why he's in a team that's in the Champions League final. He is a beast. So career-wise, about as Italian as you can get, really. Cagliari, and then through to Inter at 22 years old. He's won a Scudetto. He's also won Serie B with Cagliari as well. So he's not just one of those spoilt kids who's just walked into a top division with a good team. He's earned his place. He's played minutes in Serie B before. He's been around for a long time. At 17 years old, he was playing senior football. Last season, he actually performed. That's a crazy spread. That is. Last season, he managed 11 assists. That's mental. So his output in the last 3 years has been really, really good. 10 goal contributions, 14, and this season on 12. Although he could make it more because he's still got one more game left this year. Let's have a look at his profile here. Oh God, that's the same player value as Rice. That's crazy how they're the same. 23. That's strange for Italy to have a normal shirt number. Normally it's like 92 or something in Italy.
Well, that's the Michael Jordan thing, isn't it? That it's a number that a lot of players like to use because of the Michael Jordan link, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. Passing, playmaking, according to SofaScore. Right, let's go down and have a little look. So there's lots of things here because obviously he's been involved in a lot of football. Let's have a look at one of his good games. 3-2 victory over Atalanta for Inter. He scored in this and dropped a 7.5. Let's try and scroll up a little bit more. There we go. So we can see here wing backs. So Lukaku got the nod in this game. You got Brozovic, who of course we've looked at before. Tonanoglu on the other side of midfield, who was a bit of a traitor, was at AC Milan and went to Inter, and then completing this midfield is Barella on the right hand side. Looked like he did rather well. Funny that we need somebody who can play on that right side of midfield. Heat map. Well, you can see there that's it's pretty aggressive heat map there. He spent a lot of time protecting the back three or back five, however we're looking at it, but progressed it where necessary. So he got his goal. Let me scroll down a little bit more so we can see this. 47 touches, very, very tidy on the ball. Only misplaced 2 passes the entire game with 95% pass accuracy. Completed all 3 long balls he attempted. Dropped a couple of shots on target. Okay physically. I mean, he is 5'7" or 8. I'm not going to expect him to be ripping up trees in regards to aerial duels. Couple of fouls, managed to draw a free kick, and some average to below average sort of output defensively in this game. But he looked like he made a big difference in this midfield, and it looked like it ticked over very nicely. Lots of positive stats here, although they had a shocker on that wing for some reason with Dumfries. What shall we have a look at? Let's go back and have a look at another one. Oh, God, he played against us when we beat Italy. Oh, let's have a look at this. International minutes. Who'd have thought? Oh, he started as well. So he was up against Bellingham and Grealish in this game, and he got subbed off. So he struggled a bit in this game. But, I mean, Bellingham and Grealish are not bad players at all. But fair enough. We'll go Benfica Inter. Why not? Let's go down and have a look. So same sort of thing. Not Lukaku in this game. They've gone with Edin Dzeko, who a lot of people remember from Man City. Mkhitaryan coming in instead of Çalhanoğlu in that midfield. Brozovic and Barella on the right again. So very interesting heat map there. A lot more offensive in this game. They obviously had the lion's share of things control-wise. Still very, very tidy with the passing accuracy. He managed to get a successful cross and 3 successful long balls. He had a shot on, off, and blocked. Completed 3 dribbles. Tried very, very hard physically. That's okay. Won more than half of his ground duels. Really, really nice spread as well. I think it'd be somebody that could definitely drop into our team. He's very, very experienced, very good in a defensive system, very good offensively with his ball progression as well. And we know this Benfica team are no joke because we played them in pre-season and they did very well in the Champions League. So they are not a bad team. Right, transfer marks. So he's won lots and lots of trophies. 43 caps for Italy. That's a lot of caps and 8 goals. So the pedigree there is outstanding. We would be getting an absolute winner. Scroll down and have a little look. So we've already seen his contract expires 2026. We don't have any agent information on Transfermarkt, unfortunately. So you can see where he plays on here. And let's scroll down and have a look. So pedigree-wise, internationally, it's not just the senior team. He's been part of the Italy setup since the under-15s. So the amount of matches this guy's played at sort of a top level, he's always been around that kind of setup. And you've got to remember, obviously, he didn't start at Inter. He played for Como and Cagliari. So he's been highly regarded, regardless of where he was. He was still involved in all of this stuff, going all the way up to being a 26-year-old. And you can see his transfers there from Cagliari youth and his Como on loan transfer, all down here. But yeah, Barella, I think he is incredible.
He's a great player, no doubt about that. Flexible as well, isn't he? In that, he can play in the midfield. He according to that, he can play in the 6 as well. So, he's a hell of a player, and he's got lots and lots of positive attributes to his game. And yeah, he'd be one to look for. And look forward to seeing him tomorrow night. I think you'll see him. They'll play in the 5 in the middle of the park tomorrow night as well. I think they're almost bound to do that. The way City's playing.
Yeah, it's going to be. I don't think Lukaku's going to start. I think it's going to be Dzeko with Lautaro Martinez next to him, and I think they're just going to play hoofball.
Yeah, I agree.
They're literally just going to play hoofball. They're going to play proper, the way we used to play. Any English team, they're going to lump it to the big bloke, and then Martinez, the little quick bloke, it's going to be. Do you remember how Peter Crouch and Jermaine Defoe worked in the Champions League?
Yeah,
that's literally how Inter are going to try and play tomorrow. That is the best way of describing it.
I think you're right. I think they've got no choice because they're trying out football. City, they're just going to get their asses. I think they'll get their asses kicked anyway, if I'm perfectly honest. But it gives them the best way of winning the game. Jimmy Jones in the chat, and he's got the Hammers signed and champions. Congratulations to you, Jimmy. Last night, Alex, did we nominate him for?
We did. I think, Jimmy, you won a mug yesterday when we did our show, because obviously we were quite happy for you winning the conference league. So well done. But if you've not seen it, go watch the show. Yeah,
send. Look in the email description in the channel description and below the program description.
Yeah.
Send Paul an email with the word mug on it, and he'll know what it is.
Well, not with the word mug. Just
no, seriously.
In the subject, write
subject.
Mug. Don't just email Paul. You're a mug. Like in the email subject.
Winner of mug, and then give him your address, and he'll send you one out. I think that's definitely right, isn't it? It definitely won. I was asking in the WhatsApp group. No one seemed to know. But
dear Paul, mug.
And anyway, congratulations for Wednesday night. It's a fantastic achievement. A lot of people on Twitter I've seen trying to downplay it. Some real dickheads, to be fair. It's a European trophy, and
amazing.
Pleased as punch that West Ham win that. Lots of time for that. Clark, I think Howe wants to transition to double pivot with 3 ahead and Isak up front. I think it's horses for course. I think it depends who we're playing. I think he wants to be flexible enough in our team to be able to change his side to whoever we're playing.
There are times where we've looked like a 4-2-4.
Yes, exactly. There is. Anyway, let's see what people think of Nicola Barea. Let's get him off the screen, and we'll come down a little bit. Hang on, Jimmy Jones. Yeah, David Bruce is here as well. Evening, you two lads. You a fantastic host. I absolutely love this show. Thanks, Davey. Stephen Donaldson says, looking forward to the under-21s coming down to play Barrow FC. The Barrow Mags have their tickets for the away end. Looking forward to welcoming any away travelling fans. You'll enjoy your day, mate. You really will. You really will. Ian Skinner says, who knows in Dan Ashworth we trust. Rach says, Jimmy, we'll let you off all that caps just once. Congratulations. 100%. 100%. Right, let's come down a bit. Let's find out what people think of Barea. People still talking about Rice. It's people are. Jimmy says, what's this about you having a 75 million budget only? Well, I don't think that's true. Mark says Rodri is the best 6 in Europe, but Rice is the top player. I don't agree with you. I think Rice is internationally as well. So, Ivani Granny, this is the window we get Hamza Chowdhury over the line. I can feel it. Well, let's have a look. See what we're getting here. Looking at Barea. Can we see?
Oh, hang on. There we go.
I'm trying to find Barea.
Keep reading comments. I just need to let the dog in.
Okay. Dr. Spoon says, let's be honest, there's loads of class of players available, and we are getting some of them this summer, and Eddie will make them even better. I couldn't agree more. Evening to you, Ian A. Jimmy Jones says Suchek took Noble's place indeed. Swanky Bugs, you're evening to you. Sailor are an events company. Chipper says Robert Mugabe on a free. Who'd have thought at the beginning of the week that Robert Mugabe would get mentioned on the Toon Review twice? There you go. That's something I couldn't have predicted. Clark said that Sailor is an event company type thing. It is indeed. Majibi says Big Joe left wing, Willock left centre mid. Well, there you go. Yano says Roy should not be a higher price than Bellingham. I agree. But I mean, English player tax in England, I think West Ham will demand more than what they paid for Bellingham for Rice, don't you, Alex? I think because there'll be a bidding
probably.
War. There'll be a bidding war. How can they compete when they don't have European football and the miserly levy won't part with too much cash?
Yeah, but it's that balancing act of do they throw more money at it to try and force their way back in next season to stop it's like a bleeding wound.
Yeah.
What they're going to do with it? They're going to hope it stops. And I mean, Levy's famous for this with having, I think he's one of the only, he's got the record for having the only Premier League club who didn't make a transfer, or didn't make a signing 2 transfer windows in a row. I mean, that's kind of why they're having these issues. It's just been poorly managed for like 4 or 5 seasons now.
Ronald says, how can Man U afford 400,000 a week? Because their FFP is higher than everyone else's.
Look at David De Gea's contract. In fact, I'm going to pull it up now.
They've offered him a reduction, aren't they? I think his new contract's a reduction in wages. I'm not sure if that's true.
I've got it on screen. Have a look now.
Let's have a look.
This is somebody that they weren't. This is somebody that they didn't want to be number 1 at the start of the season because he was crap. Because he was awful in the first 3 games.
Good Lord. 375,000 a week for goalkeeper. Wow.
Yep. Bearing in mind their placings in recent seasons as well.
He did get the Golden Glove somehow. I don't know why, but yeah, that's a lot of money. They've got a much higher ceiling of FFP for, I guess, the commercial product that they have, I guess, isn't it? Here's our next player. Dejan Kulusevski of Spurs.
Speaking of Spurs,
yeah.
So we'll talk about his contract situation and transfer stuff in a minute. Let's talk about him as a player first. So, wide forward, an additional wide forward, maybe. Do we need one? Potentially. A lot of people seem to think we need maybe a youngster to compete behind Wilson and Isak, somebody to learn, or do we want somebody a bit more finished? The fact we've finished in the Champions League places. So this guy ticks a few boxes. He is a wide forward, but he is 6'1" and is quite physical, which is quite a unique sort of attribute for somebody who plays in his position to have. Additionally, he's left-footed, plays out on the right-hand side. Somebody that could play exactly the way Miggy plays, but be a bit more aggressive and play on that right-hand side. So it's kind of an area I think we can all agree we're looking at. So 110,000 per week. We could match it, slightly bump it maybe with a bonus. He knows Isak from Sweden. There's a lot that sounds quite nice here, to be fair. It sounds very, very logical. 30 appearances, 2,000 minutes for Spurs with 7 assists and 2 goals. It is okay in a Spurs team that's had a shocking season. I think Kulusevski was out for a little bit as well.
Right, the expiry of the contract's kind of baffling me a little bit. Did he go to Spurs on a full contract, or was he still on loan from Juventus last season?
Right. Well, we'll skip this for a second, then we'll have a look at the contract. We talked about him for 1 second. So officially, why have I got so many pop-ups? Transfer marked. Can you stop it? So his contract with Juventus expires next summer. Right. So he's got a year left on the Juventus contract. However, Spurs apparently have an option to buy. So, but it to a point will also depend on the player, Juventus, any other offers. There'll be a number of factors that goes into this. We'll open up the World Soccer Agency as well. So he is gettable.
Confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely gettable. So we're looking at this. We've got... So this is the agent list. Kostic, Moise Kean, Correa, not really anybody we've dealt with in recent... No, Vecino,
lots of Serie A players, isn't it?
Dzeko, lots of Italians in here, yeah. So I don't think that really helps us in any regard. We don't know anybody. Right, let's go back to his FBref. So I still think that's a good output in a poor Spurs team this season. 9 goal contributions is not too bad. I think in a team that has a better year, I think he'll do a lot more. Outperformed it, but again, he was good. He's been good for a while. A lot of people are very, very complimentary of him. So scroll down and have a little look at his statistics. Let me zoom out a tiny bit more. There we go. So we can fit it all on screen. So defensive contribution is very, very high for somebody in his position. His tackle rate is really, really good. Interceptions, obviously we want that. We want somebody who can play kind of in the way Miggy plays, but maybe better. So this guy profiles well. A little bit disappointed with the aerial duel statistics, considering he's 6'1", but hey ho, but maybe there are reasons for that. You never know. Maybe balls are played over the top of him and he never challenges for them, really. Like, there could be reasons. So pass completion rate is nice and tidy. The progressive carries and take-ons is what we want here, ideally, from this right winger. So he's carrying the ball very, very well. His successful take-ons is nice and high. He's touching the ball a lot in the penalty area, and he's receiving the ball high up. So this is what we want from him, ideally. Progressive passes do exist. It's not incredible, but it's there. Shot creating actions, again, creating things for the centre forward or for the rest of the teammates is lovely and high, and his assists numbers are nice and high. He is being compared to players such as Willian Blas, who's amazing. Nonto for Leeds. Chucky Lozano's in there as well. Zaha, you've got Ben Rama up there. So decent comparisons for sure.
Yep.
Scroll on and have a look at his career to date. So Atalanta, Parma, Juventus, and then some Premier League experience. So he's been around the block for a 23-year-old. 33 starts for Parma in Serie A. Got his move to Juventus, and then had 19 starts for Juventus in a 4th place finish. Played a little bit for them before he got his Spurs move. Was very, very, very good in that first, because I think he joined, didn't he, on loan for a little bit in January.
Yeah.
You can see here in his 14 starts, he managed 5 goals, 8 assists, absolutely ripped it up. Of course, then Spurs had a bit of a dip this season, quite a lot of issues, but he still managed 9 goal contributions in a Spurs team that was struggling to perform at all. I think he's a great player. I really, really like him. I think he fits exactly what we need at the moment. Yeah. Could be quite expensive though, although Juventus are still being investigated heavily. They've got a lot of issues. If anybody's not seen, so there's a football manager YouTuber called Zealand, and he's done a video on Juventus recently on the current shitstorm they find themselves in. They had one of their directors had a little black book of transfers about all the dodgy money that was in it. Their offices got raided and they found a book of all the dodgy shit in the book. Like, they are in so much trouble. They had a 15-point deduction, which they won their appeal, and then they got a 10-point deduction put on instead of a 15. So they're in a bit of trouble financially as well. They need to sort their house out. So if we can offer a reasonable fee, we might manage to beat Spurs to this. Depends if anybody else wants him. I'm not actually sure where the links came from today. Where did he get linked from? Just generic Italian media. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure on this one. I would take him. I think he's a great player. Well, we've not looked at his sofa score yet. We're not going to look at his sofa score. Spurs are awful. I'm not going to put you off. Spurs are crap.
Oh, dear me. Yeah, he's a great player, Kulusevski. Like you say, we saw the best of him when he joined for that period of the season before last now, isn't it? When he kind of pushed Spurs up to Champions League football ahead of Arsenal. When he came for the extra year, he wasn't so good. But he was on his day, but poor Spurs side, poorly managed by Conte at times. And then, of course, when he went and the bloke came in, can't remember his name now, but he was awful, wasn't he? And Kulusevski suffered for that. Plus, you had the Richarlison thing as well. He got picked on that side of the pitch as well at times, didn't they? Trying to fit 3 into 2. Didn't work for them, but Kulusevski's an outstanding player. And of course, he'll have his international teammate to maybe have a whisper in his ear on international duty. So.
Exactly. Well, we've got international duty just about to come around the corner, so you never know. He might. I'm sure they will have a conversation. Whether anything happens of it, we won't know. But they will definitely have a conversation. That's
Indeed.
for sure.
So talking about Berea now, back to Berea. Mark Shafto says baller, but he's actually what you can see his feet in his passport photo. Bath says I like this boy. He battles. Julie J says Gazzetta dello Sport is just as much garbage as British media. James Richardson always used to quote them, didn't he, on these Football Italia shows many moons ago. Gazzetta dello Sport, yeah.
Well, I think a lot of them dragged their name through the mud with the Botman saga, and we ended up being correct on that. So a lot of publications lost a lot of respect. Well, a lot of people lost a lot of respect for most Italian journalists and publications after the Botman thing.
And John Sinclair, of course, who had to pay £100 out. Reese had always thought Berea was going to Liverpool. Well, I was on Berea on FIFA. He's mint. Simon says €178,000 a week. Jeez, that's a packet.
That's why they're in trouble.
Craig says, I prefer when the sources come from their country, Italy, Germany, etc. They have a less of a vendetta against us. That's true too. That's true. Bluebird 28 says, forget Royce, concentrate on Maddison and try getting Ward-Prowse as well. They want 70 million for Ward-Prowse. That ain't happening.
No.
No one's paying 70 million for Ward-Prowse. Absolutely not. He's pushing 30 now, isn't he? 28, 29.
Can I just point something out as well? Lavia, we all think he's great. Ward-Prowse, we all think he's really he's decent. Obviously, his free kicks are what everybody loves about him, but his midfield is decent. It's above average. They play in a double pivot, and they've been getting absolutely stonked all season for possession, and they've not had control of any games. At what point do we call out the double pivot that didn't work? I love them individually as players, and I understand that there is more to just them. You don't control a game just from your midfield. There are more moving parts. It depends on your pressing structure. If everybody's pulling the weight, it depends on playing out from the back, on winning the aerial duels, the second balls. There's so much that goes into it. However, as much as we praise these two, it didn't really work for them in midfield. I don't know. I'm not so certain I would want Ward-Prowse anymore.
And you can use Lavier's inexperience as a Premier League footballer as an excuse, I guess, but Ward-Prowse definitely not. He's been in it for donkey's years, hasn't he?
If we're going to get somebody of his age profile, I'd prefer somebody like Maddison. Doesn't need the free kicks. Maddison can just do it from open play and offers us more from open play, as does a player like Soboslai and other midfielders of that nature. I like Ward-Prowse. He's a great player. However, I feel like he's a shoe-in for a club like West Ham or somebody like that. I feel like we're trying to kick on. No disrespect to West Ham. I do apologise, Jimmy. But I think we are trying to kick on to that kind of next level, if that makes sense.
I don't think anyone's paying 70 million from their Sato, if I'm perfectly honest. No one's paying that for James Ward-Prowse. Not at all. Not at all. I don't think. I guess if Royce leaves West Ham, maybe they'll be in the market for someone like Ward-Prowse, but there's got to be better options than Ward-Prowse, in my opinion, for that money anyway. Alex says, is the watch along on this channel or Jack's? Well, it'll be on this channel, and it's whether we dual streams or not, I don't know, but yeah, it'll be Jack's commentary debut in the Champions League with Stato helping him out.
Yeah, make sure you tune in. It'll be a good one.
It will be a good one. Yeah, it's well worth watching. Colby Smith, there you go. Tall and new Stato talking about Berea. Little dig there for me.
Ian, you've literally met me like 4 times, mate. You know I'm not that small.
Carlos says the Champions League football on Sky. No, it's not. It's on what is now known as TNT Sport, but it will be being streamed free through YouTube. But then you can't watch our channel at the same time, so I can do that.
Have both on.
Yeah, you need to. What you need is 2 devices, one with us on and the other with them on. I hadn't thought of that. But if you've got BT Sport or TNT Sport, as it's now known, that's the way around that. Bartham says, I don't want Royce. Ruben Neves is way better, plus he's cheaper. I don't think he's better. Definitely cheaper. Older too, is he? I don't know. I'm not sure. Neves is deceptive, isn't he?
Possibly same age. Neves. We can have a look. Do you want to see Neves? Vince is on screen.
Yeah, why not?
Right, by the way, we're not linked. We're just looking at him because somebody mentioned him.
26.
Yeah, 26 years. Literally just turned 26. He's on half the wages. Actually, he's on 10k less than Rice is, but expires in the same point as well. 6 goals, 1 assist. I think you are chatting a little bit of shit there. So Rice is definitely better at progressing the ball and passing and take-ons and offensive threat in the box. Yeah, I mean, Neves is great. He's a bit of a long ball merchant with his progressive passes, and we know he's decent. You know, he's Locatelli's on there. Amadou Haidar is on there, who we've been linked with before from Leipzig, and Idara Mendy from Sociedad. He's a great player. Brilliant player. But it's apples and oranges. And in this situation, the apple is 3 times bigger than the orange.
Long ball merchant, despite him having a go at us for being long ball merchants. Very strange, isn't it?
That was hilarious.
Baz says, why leave Inter? I don't know. Maybe he wants to come to a better league.
If Inter win the Champions League, what do you do next? You're a 26-year-old. You've been in Italy your whole life. You win the Champions League with Inter. You sit down and you go, right, what am I going to do the rest of my career? Do I want to have a crack at another league in another country? Or is he might just stay. You may be right. But I'm sure he will definitely have that conversation with himself, as will most of the players at Inter, apart from Lukaku. I think he's just going to be crying. He's not really sure. He doesn't want to go back to Chelsea, I would imagine.
Here's a question. Can you compare Sean and Bray's stats side by side?
No, because I think it will hurt people.
Nick says, with Rice being a very long shot. With Rice being a very long shot, I'd love to see him go for Manu Kone. Definite start of the future 22. Talking my language now, Nick. I'm a big fan of this lad.
But Kone and Thuram are both Liverpool fans. Liverpool fans in the last 2 weeks have just discovered who those two midfielders are because they don't watch football. And yeah, I'd give up on that for now.
Yeah,
to be fair. Even though they don't have Champions League, they still have the pool. They're still Liverpool. They've still got Klopp there. Players want to play for Klopp. They know it's going to be an aggressive system. They're going to be challenging next year as they're going to try to. So
Thuram's in talk for Liverpool now, actually. So not sure though if it's free like the West Ham is. Yeah, it will be free on YouTube.
I think legally they have to show it for free.
As Tom says, some Champions League football has to be free to air. So BT, stick it on YouTube. Chipper says Royce to Man City and Phillips to Newcastle. That'd be interesting. If only for our physiotherapist, because he'll got plenty of work next season. Simon says I don't want us going for Ward-Prowse. Great set piece, but otherwise just okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Right, let's come back and see if we find some Kulusevski stuff. Tomlin says Michael Jordan was a basketballer, though. He was, but people in different sports wear the 23 purely because of that. And a lot of it was down to Nike contracts. Shane Warne was one. He wore it on his cricket shirts, for instance.
Tom, you remember Willock doing the 3-point little dunk celebration? Yeah. You know,
Shola, he wore 23 for that reason. Lots of players did it. Carragher, another one. Loads of them. They all want the 23 shirt for homage to Michael Jordan for some reason. I don't know why. Like you say, he's a basketball player, but there you go. Mike TV says, wasn't you in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Newcastle fan from Kenya. There was a character called Mike TV in the Charlie and Chocolate Factory, definitely. But
was that? Don't know.
Certainly not him.
Well, welcome from Kenya.
Indeed. Jack says Bray would be real in our team. But then our freak says, Bray isn't coming, guys. Let's get real. We're not saying he is.
No, we bought Isak, right? Isak was one of the best young strikers in Europe, and we dropped 62 million pounds on him. Why wouldn't we be getting anyone else that's a sort of 50 to 60 million pound marquee signing? Why not? We've qualified for the Champions League. It makes more sense now than it did when we got Isak.
We headed down to New Zealand. Says about 40 days to start the Women's World Cup away the Lasses. Indeed. I'm not sure we'll be watching many of them games live, but if England were to get to the final, I guess we'd all make an exception for that.
Where is it this time?
Australia, New Zealand, ain't it?
Oh God, yeah, of course.
Ryan says the priority should be to provide proven winners rather than kids who will potentially be a star in the future. I think a bit of both, actually, Ryan. I think you've got to have a bit of a mixture.
Yeah, I mean, Bruno wasn't a winner. I mean, Leon at the time was sort of 7th, 8th, trying to play a bit of scrappy ends of European football, and look at him now.
Massive well done on the 20k, guys. Says Richard T. Well deserved. Thanks very much, mate. And if you haven't seen last night's show, have a look in our YouTube channel and watch it on catch up. Yeah, great show. Cheeky Young Foon, or Tyres, Paul calls him, reportedly will have £70 to £80 million available on the safe side of FFP rules. Is it true? We can't say. We don't know.
I think if the right deals are available, we could potentially spend double that. I wouldn't worry about it.
Let's find these comments on Kulusevski if we have any. People are making their own. Royce Shabazz and Tierney, 200 million, job done.
Simple as that,
eh? Yeah. I'm not sure about Tierney. He's just too injury prone for me. Just too injury prone. Anyway, the people are still talking about Royce way down the chat.
Keep scrolling for Kulusevski.
I'm trying to find Kulusevski. Picture's not a.
Maybe people just didn't want to talk about him.
Jadon Sanchez on 350k a week.
Oh, Christ, that's so much.
Here we go. I'd take Kulu as a really talented player. He is indeed. That looks decent whenever I've seen him, says Jason. Kulu's decent, says Craig. Bath says he was awesome at Juve. Someone said
Julie says as well.
I'd still take Richarlison. Eddie would sort him out, and he's friends with Anthony Gordon and have fellow Brazilians Bruno and Joe to lean on.
I don't. I think Richarlison's too far gone. I think he's not just a rat. He's the king of the rats. He's an absolute rat.
John says, "Did Kulusevski do much at Spurs? Would we be wasting money on him?"
Also, Richarlison had tweeted having a go at Callum Wilson and Antonio.
Did, yeah.
So that's not going to happen.
They had a go at him on the podcast, and quite rightly.
Well, he tweeted out, "Oh, well, how many World Cup goals have you two got?" Yeah, well, you shit, Richarlison, shut up.
Celebrated a goal with his offside as well, didn't he? Or was it goal at Anfield?
The joke was, I think he'd accumulated 2 or 3 yellow cards via taking his shirt off for a goal which was disallowed. So they were joking. He's going to end up getting a booking for disallowed goals at this. Getting a suspension. He was going to end up potentially getting a 1-match ban for 5 yellow cards if he just kept taking his shirt off for disallowed goals. And then obviously Richarlison didn't like it.
Jack says, "Love Kulusevski, but it's made of Weetabix." Is that true?
I don't know about that. I don't think that's fair.
I didn't get a team, but was great last season about Kulu. Say any more? So good. Juve have loaned him out. Yeah. He's kind of 2 teams to kind of deal with there. I guess if Spurs want him, then I guess he's their player. Oh, right. So this is Craig says Spurs have already sent him back. They're not signed him. So he is available then. He is available. Tangy says Anderson's only a few years younger. He's going to be better than Kulusevski. He's on the other side though, isn't he? Anderson just has had the same amount of game time. Kulusevski 110k a week. No way.
I think that's nonsense. You literally can't say that. The fact that Barella came in, played half a season last season, got 8 goals, 5 assists, and then this year got also 9 goals. Like Anderson's not done it yet. Kulusevski has done it, and there's also like a 3-year age difference, 2-year age difference between them as well. You can't compare the two. And Anderson's always going to play left side. Kulusevski's always going to play right side. Kulusevski's a left-footed, right-sided player. Completely different thing. Completely different. We're talking about him playing in front of Miggy. Like, not comparable.
Bad says the new manager won't be keen to lose players like him on about Postecoglou. Well, he's already gone, apparently, according to someone who said earlier. A lot of support for Postecoglou from down end I've seen on Twitter. Postecoglou's got a tough job next season. He's not going to do anything anywhere near as well as what he is. He did 2-horse race, or basically a 1-horse race in Scotland last year. I could have managed Celtic to win the title in Scotland, but you know, whether he does well at Spurs, I think it's a poison challenge myself personally. I really do.
Yeah, but I think Postecoglou now is technically probably the most famous Australian person in sport, really, isn't he? I mean, you could argue Tim Cahill back in the day, but nowadays, football-wise, it's probably going to be this guy as the manager.
John says he's not better than Miggy. And then Neil Noel says he is an improvement on Miggy. I think he's an improvement on Mickey, if I'm perfectly honest.
I think Kulusevski can probably put up similar numbers to Miggy's season, but consistently. Whereas I think Miggy's not going to be able to do that every year. I think that was probably the best season he's going to have. We'll see.
Foxy says, Kulu not for me, very one pace. He's a good reputation based on a great half season last year. Was average before that Juve as well. Better out there.
Depends on the price. I really do think it depends on the price.
If Kane goes there, pants, well, yeah, I'd love him to go to Real Madrid. I'd love him to go to Real Madrid. I really would. That kind of guarantees a certain Newcastle number 9 is record being kept. Until unless Haaland stays for 5 years, maybe not then.
Well, Haaland probably doing bloody 2 seasons with the rate he's going at the moment.
There we go. Well, that's the 3 players we've got tonight. Tomorrow night we've got the Champions League watch along with Alex and Jack. So tune in for that. Give Jack your support. It's first commentary on our channel, and I should be tuning in also to watch. And then Sunday, I think myself and Paul might be doing a show together. We're kind of rotating things around, giving each other a break. So that's great. So thanks to all you lot watching tonight.
Make sure you drop a like. We're only on 215 as well, by the way.
Yeah, hit that thumbs up button. I'll tell you what, I'll put Daisy on, and then while you're doing that, you can put your car emojis into your heart's content and hit the likes at the same time. That sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? There we go. There was Daisy there, our channel mascot, dancing around on the wrecking balls. Thanks to you out there in watching there, and people who've super chatted and new subscribers, and people that has hit that thumbs up button. Thanks to all the mods in the background doing their fantastic job as always. Thanks to Stato for his work in the background, getting them players. And point made is by Stato. One. Yeah,
well, make sure as well, new kit tomorrow morning. I think it's 8 o'clock at the club shop or online. So make sure you check out if you do want to get anything, any of the new kit. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then obviously Champions League watch along later on.
Absolutely. So you can unless you go to the club shop and buy it personally, you better watch it in your Newcastle top, and maybe next season we'll be wearing it. You never know. You never know.
I wonder if we're going to get the option tomorrow. Well, I'm going to be looking at the online store. If we get the little Champions League badge option.
Yeah. There might be a separate kit.
So exciting. Yeah.
I mean, some clubs have different kits, don't they, for Champions League and Premier League? You know what Castoria are like? Christ. They'll milk it as much as they can, won't they? Yeah. So thanks to all you out there. Thanks to Stato for that. We shall see you tomorrow. Champions League watch along. Stato, say my line.
Away the lads and lasses.
And good evening to you all, and have a great rest of your Friday.
Come back and check on some breathing.